Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. We are talking about the fentanyl epidemic. We have with us two guests, Mindy Vincor with the District Attorney's Office, and Tanya Jacobs, who is the mother of Romello. Romello died as a result of fentanyl. We have other guests who are going to come up after this segment, but I'm going to start taking phone calls. We have Reverend Fuzz, Mike, Eddie, others. So let's start with Reverend Fuzz. Hello, Reverend Fuzz.
Hey, Ben and Miss Jacobs, you have my condolences. I'm so sorry about your son.
Thank you, sir.
And I've done maybe 4 funerals of young people this year who died of fentanyl poisonings. And I want to ask our district attorney, this story was on Channel 5. There were 4 men who were arrested. They had 4 or 5 pounds of fentanyl in their possession, and they were let out of jail on a $40,000 bond. Their addresses were not in Nashville. Their addresses, one address was Washington, one Texas, one was from Nashville. How are we serious about this fentanyl epidemic? And men with 4 or 5 pounds of fentanyl in their possession can get out of jail on a $40,000 bond. And I'd like to ask that question. How does that happen?
All right, Reverend Fuzz, thank you. Do you know this case? There was, I'm a little aware of it. 4 people arrested, a very low bond set, $40,000 bond. They had a lot of this stuff.
I had the same question.
Sometimes our office has the same question. We don't set the bonds in these cases. That's something that's done by a magistrate. I can tell you, Pastor Fuzz, that my boss and my immediate boss, General Ryan, and I do most of these cases. We take the fentanyl cases very seriously. General Funk always wants us to at least have a sentencing hearing in front of a judge. We don't want to give these cases community corrections at all. They're very, very serious. And unfortunately, we're not involved in setting bonds, but what we do is monitor if we can find out if they've violated bond conditions, so we can file bond revocations the minute we notice anything amiss.
And is it cartels? Who are the typical people that are being arrested for fentanyl? Are they local people who get it from Mexico or China or whatever the stream is? Who are these people?
It's both. On some of the bigger cases, it'll be people from Mexico, but they're very low-level people usually. That's who they send over. But we also have locals who have it. Fentanyl's everywhere. It's in almost every drug that is out there. It's in all the pills, is most of the pills, but like I said, if you are buying cocaine, if you are buying meth, if you are buying heroin, the chances that there are fentanyl in it are very, very high.
All right, good grief. Let's go to Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Ben? And good evening to your guests. And also, I'd like to pass on my condolences to the lady who's doing a really good bit of work trying to help make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else's children. But I want to ask you, fentanyl's been around since 1959. And we really started hearing about fentanyl really about 10 years ago. And up until then, it's been used for anesthetics type uses and everything like that. And to me, it seemed like the DEA or whoever the powers that be would have clamped down way before now that we see, especially over the last 5 years. So right now, there's a drug called trank dope and also benzo dope. Right now, it's in the Philadelphia northeast section of the country and also Peoria. But basically, it's tranquilizer from a drug called xylazine that's used to tranquilize horses and elk. So if you can imagine somebody having that mixed in with fentanyl and heroin, and like she said, there's very few drugs now, cocaine, heroin, and meth, that is just straight that drug. It puts people in a paralyzed position. They lean over and can stay in that position forever, when normally they wouldn't be able to be in that flexible position. The other drug is benzo dope, which is basically benzo being like a Xanax and everything, but it's at a higher black label pretty much that they've made their version of it. They mix that with heroin and fentanyl, and then benzo can put you in a state like an overdose. But the thing is, Narcan won't work as good because you've got these mixed drugs.
Okay, all right.
Fentanyl. And I want to hear their response if they are familiar with that.
With all this other stuff. Okay. What about that?
I heard of the benzos before. I'm not sure about the other ones, but there's also carfentanil, which is even stronger, which is an elephant. You can knock out an elephant with that tranquilizer. And I also recently, more than once, have read about, and I don't remember the whole word for it, but it's the abbreviation is ISO, which is also apparently worse even than fentanyl. So this is not going to stop. Even if for some reason fentanyl will go away, there will be something else, and chances are it will be stronger and worse than fentanyl. I personally believe we cannot arrest our way out of this. There's too many of them. So that's why I feel awareness is the way to at least let the public know in various different ways what is going on, let parents know what is going on, to talk to their children. There's still a ton of parents and kids that have no clue about this. Why would they? You know, it never affected them. But my point is, I want to try to get to them before something happens, so they can talk to their kids.
And what do you tell your kids? You tell them what? You just don't take any pill.
There is no safe recreational drug use anymore. If you think that you have to take a pill to make you feel better, you play in Russian roulette is what it is. You know, because you could take a pill, you could break a pill in half. You could take the half that might not have any fentanyl in it and you'll be fine, but you really don't get a high either because we already know that there's not really anything else but fentanyl in there. But you could take the wrong half of the pill and it's all laced with fentanyl, and then you're dead 2 minutes later. So educate yourself, talk to your children, that it's not about, I'm trying to get into your business, I'm trying to control what you're doing. This is a life and death situation, and I'm trying to get the message out before more parents have to go through the grief and the heartbreak that tens of thousands of us now have gone through.
And you and Mike just talked about all these new drugs. And I feel like every time we talk about a drug, there's always a new drug that's even worse. And usually when we talk about a new drug that's even worse, it's more addictive. There's some other drug coming down the pike that's more addictive. What you're talking about here that kind of just blows my mind is this is just deadly. So it's not as if they're trying to hook you. They're killing the very people that are buying it. It's just deadly. And the motivation, again, I guess they just don't know what they're doing, and they're just trying to make money, and they're selling it as something else. But that's how dangerous this is.
Yes. It's like what you had in the 80s, where you had the Tylenol poisoning. It's exactly the same thing, except they can't take the Tylenol off the shelf like they did back then with the fentanyl. The fentanyl is still out there. And that's why, to me, awareness and education is the only way that you could try to help save as many people as possible.
We're about to go to break, and then we're going to bring in some others. What did you want to put out? I think you're going to come on at the very end, but you want, I guess, churches are important. What else did you want to get out there in this segment before we go to break?
I would like to have the churches help to bring awareness through their congregations, through their communities. Same thing with, like last night at the council meeting, I would like to talk to every single council member in Davidson County, and then of course all through Tennessee, to help me get the message out to their communities. And I'm trying to find organizations that have a big reach into the community that can help me get the message out. So.
And final word from you, Mindy.
I agree with Tanya so much. Talk to your kids. I have 3 college-age students, and when you're talking to your kids, you're not just educating them, you're educating their friends, and you're educating their friends, and that's the biggest thing you can do. And I appreciate Tanya and others that have stepped forward to try to help fight this in a different way.
Absolutely. If you're on the line, hold on. If you want to call in, there's the number. We're going to take a break and bring on someone from the Metro Police Department and someone from the Forensic Medical Management. So we'll take a break, be back right after this.